guys and girls. Welcome to episode 89 of the FReality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in central US. You can also check out the audio version available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or leave us a nice review on iTunes. That would really help us out. Hope everyone's having a nice weekend. Thanks for those joining us in the chat. Oh, so what happened there?
Mike's got a frog in his throat.
I was like running out of breath.
Are you okay, Mike?
I'm fine.
It's been a bit of hectic pre-stream.
It has, as always, been a hectic pre-stream.
Okay.
Crazy as always. So now let me introduce you to the team. First up, he's a contractor for hire if you need any dirty work done, if you know what I mean. It's, of course, the rowdy guy. How you doing, man? You all right?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing great. You got me worried there for a moment, mate. I thought, oh no, someone called the ambulance. I was still fixing stuff here. Like, I'm doing great. Yeah.
Good to hear.
Right there, where my hands are a little bit dirty from the work I've been doing, but it'll be good.
Good to hear it. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I was like running out of breath as I was doing the intro. It was like the first time ever. But like you say, just before the show, it was kind of like a bit of a meltdown. Everything was kind of chaotic, but it's not the FReality podcast if we don't have that beforehand. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But let's get on with it. So next up, this guy's on an unstoppable quest to show the world what VR has to offer on Twitch and YouTube. It's the one and only ZimTalk5. How you doing, man? You all right?
Yeah, doing great, Mike. I mean, I'm so happy. Thank you to Oculus for sending me a quest, and got that this week. Opened the box in my usual Zim way, and then got cracking. And feckin' hell, that thing is now my new favorite headset. Details inside today's podcast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this because obviously with the Quest release on the horizon, we've all got so much to say about it. We've all had access to it now. So it's going to be an interesting one indeed. So if you're literally got a Quest coming next week, then you're going to want to stick around for this one for sure. Yep. So next up, this guy's been enjoying some well-deserved R&R this week. No, he's not been resting and recovering. He's been rec rooming. It is, of course, Nathy. How you doing, man? You all right?
Yes, I am doing fine. And you might wonder why I'm wearing glasses at the moment.
Of course, we're all intrigued.
I woke up with an irritated right eye.
Did you say you lost your eye in a boxing match? That's horrible.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
Yeah, I'm looking for a glass one on eBay at the moment.
Wait. I got. How many likes on the video do we need for Nathy to show his eye?
100.
I'm going to spare you the details. But the funny joke at the moment is I played so much VR that my eye couldn't handle it anymore. All the awesome.
You look like, was it Cyclops from the X-Men? You know, like if you take them off, then you'll just like fire laser beams out of your eyeballs.
Yeah, it's gonna burn. So beware.
Yeah. So last but by no means least, myself, the host of the show, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. In today's show, we're going to be talking about the HTC Vive Pro eye release. It has eye tracking, but your eyes might be watering at the price. We'll give you the details on the excellent VR platformer Moss, getting some more free content. YouTube VR is going to be launching on Oculus Quest. Zim's going to give you the lowdown on the latest releases because there's so much stuff coming out next week.
I have a fucking hard job this week, Mike. It's freaking nuts.
And then finally, we'll be asking the question, will Minecraft Earth be the next big AR game, and will it overtake Pokemon Go? Well, stay tuned to find out. But of course, first up, we're going to find out what we played this week in our highlight of the week. Feel free to join in the chat, by the way. Let us know what you played. We can read those out as well. And first up is Rowdy. So what did you get up to this week, dude?
I play Contractors. That's pretty much all that I played this week. I have actually still an episode comment of that. They had recently a new beta that they announced, and it's one of those games that is really good, I think, but not enough people play it. There's always, when I go in, there's always a lobby. There's always people playing, but it's never like a full lobby. Like it's. I mean, there are times, of course, that it does get full, but there could be more people playing.
Whoa, hang on. What time of the day are you playing Contractors? Because anytime I play, it's fucking chock full. There's like 10 to 12 full games. Like when I'm playing it.
10 to 12 full lobbies.
Full lobbies. Yeah. And I'm talking, there's servers in Europe, there's servers, we're talking contractors here, right?
Yeah, contractors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I checked the stats as well. There were like at the time that I was playing it, there were like maybe like 11 people playing it too, and it was like between let's say 7 and 11 p.m. Central European time.
7 and 11 p.m. Yeah, that's because that's really around the same time I play.
Yeah.
Weird. Maybe it's a recent lull or something, because even a couple weeks ago, it was doing pretty well. But I'm like you. It's such
I wouldn't
a good
say
game.
it's doing bad, not at all. Like there's always people playing, and I always have a really good time playing it. But I just wish there were even more lobbies to choose from, because often there's only one certain game mode that you can play, and they have so many awesome game modes. Even stuff that you don't find in other games, they do that really well. So I do like just the concept of contractors, and it's so fast paced. You don't need to wait long times, and they have a new, like I wanted to say, they have a new beta that they actually like announced as a beta branch that is available now, which introduces like and I think even an extra map. I don't know if there's an extra map in there actually. I thought that was one too, but they've made the game so much smoother in there as well. It's so much nicer to play it, and they got basketball now. Now you can play basketball in contractors, which
Seriously?
is hilarious. Yeah.
What? How? How does
I
that
think
work?
I played like roughly 45 minutes just basketball with user ID in the lobby.
You could pick up a ball on a court in one of the maps and
you can pick
shoot
up
hoops.
and then like just like go like and dribble and like throw the ball.
Dribble?
In and, like,
Are you serious? Has this been there all along, or is this a new feature?
this is a new feature. It's definitely
Okay.
new. It's like basically the lobby you go into before you start a multiplayer game.
Oh, okay.
So it still starts when you start the game. Before you join a lobby, it's still the same kind of like warehouse kind of thing. But as soon as you join a lobby, then you go into this like this different kind of like scene, and you still have guns and everything. Because we played basketball with the guns and stuff.
What?
So it was hilarious.
That's so weird, by the way. There is no basketball VR game out there. No multiplayer one, at least. I did play a few, like arcadey ones, but I've never seen
like Basket Head or whatever.
NBA kind of like...
whatever that was. No, you're right, because like that, and especially in the U.S., basketball games sell as good as American football games. Like they fucking kill it. I've seen like, football games, in other words, a soccer game, and several of those with interesting locomotion techniques done, but we haven't had a proper courtside basketball game. Why?
No.
Why?
So just a quick question for Rowdy then about contractors. Are you still using the Force Tube when you play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But my batteries died though. I need to buy new batteries for it.
Those batteries are problematic. I had issues with them as well. I had to buy another two because one of them failed. But I think it's just the developers from ProTube are actually working on an internal charging solution. So that won't be a
it
problem.
makes the most sense that they would do that you can just charge, because it was just my fault. It was stupid. I forgot to turn the device off, and the battery is like fully drained, all of them. So they're all like dead and unrechargeable.
They're great. Trust fire batteries. Won't explode batteries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
the name says it in the name.
says it in the name.
So what about you then, Zim? Well, what have you been up to this week then, dude?
Zim's experiments. I've done several experiments with the Quest. First one was I took it to a forest to see if in shady coverage I could get good tracking. And it worked perfectly. Played some Beat Saber. It's kind of a quick job because I was like, if someone comes along and sees me in the forest playing Beat Saber, they're going to be
You were
like...
actually in a real forest playing it?
Yeah, in a real forest.
And did you have problems with the lighting?
None.
Because I tried it outside once as well, and it didn't work properly for me.
So it was pretty shaded. Like, I mean, this was like pretty shade covered, but there were still, pokey holes, and it was a bright day with no cloud cover. So I did that, periscoped it. So if anyone wants to go look up Periscope ZimTalk 5, you can see my attempt. The thing that actually broke my heart a little bit, and I think, Mike, you've probably covered this before, is when recording to the device, you don't get to see the breakthrough. So when you draw your boundary, even if it's a big boundary, and you step through, I wanted to be able to step through and show the forest. And because I didn't have like a laptop with me, I didn't have any other way to capture the breakthrough. And that was a little bit disheartening because I couldn't share that later. But then the second test that we ran earlier today, which was really neat, was I conjoined my Vive room and this room in one boundary. So I drew the perimeter of this room into the hallway, into my next room, and played a feck ton of quest games like Journey of the Gods and that, and you can literally like walk down this tunnel in here without it breaking. What I couldn't do, and I was kind of surprised that I couldn't do this, and maybe one of you knows the technical reasons why, I think you're allowed to set up 5 boundaries, and then the device is supposed to remember them when you walk into them.
Right.
But I couldn't do that. I couldn't like set this room up independently of that room and then kind of run between them. I had to do a connected snake between the two, which works great, by the way. The only thing I noticed was I was getting drift, which is really weird. This is the first time I've experienced drift since the DK2, and it's not drift in the headset. The boundary drifted away from the wall, slowly about 1 meter, then 1.5 meters, over the period of gameplay of about 2 to 3 hours. So
that's weird. I've never experienced that so far.
Me neither.
But then again, I've never walked between 2 different rooms with Quest yet. So
it's so cool. It's so cool. It was exactly like, we all got to play at OC5, got to play Super Hot, and they had that corridor thing. It was like having that in the house. It was fucking cool. So yeah, my experiments are a bit wild, but I'm very happy with that. It's been really
awesome.
Good.
Awesome. Just to clarify, when you took the Quest outside, obviously it was a very shaded, wooded area. It wasn't like you were really careful in direct sunlight. Because I know we've harped on about this a lot, so I didn't want to sort of contradict us.
I was incredibly careful. The thing was wrapped in cotton, in a bag, all the way to the point of like I'm taking it out in the shade. And even at that, you got to be careful, like. Because even if you have one light ray coming through and it impinges on the glass, you could end up burning. I mean, it could be seconds. It's really that fast, I think. So just be very careful if you're going to do these kinds of experiments. Don't try it at home.
In the end, it's better to not do it, you say.
Yeah. I don't know. Because I'm definitely going to be. I think someone is going to start a yoga club or something like this in a park, and people are going to be like doing box VR in a park with a wireless internet connection. You could do that now. That's so cool.
Yeah. So is there a particular game that you want to highlight out of the ones you tried?
I'll just drop 3. I'll drop 3 names and not really mention too much about them. So 3 games surprised me on Quest, and I would say people will be surprised by them as well. Ballista, BOGO, and Dead and Buried 2, which is a demo, which we got to play. Dead and Buried 2 probably being the most surprising of the lot because it feels like playing like Quake or something like that running around. Can't wait to play against something that's not a computer. So
was there no other people online?
I just kind of did pretty quick. So I played 2 rounds with bots and that was it. But I didn't go looking. I didn't expect there to be a large population of people playing that at this time with only press and not having access. So
it's definitely a step forward compared to the first Dead and Buried that was more of a, let's say, standing experience where you had to teleport from time to time. So I agree on that side. I do hope they will have a progression system or something because there needs to be something that keeps you in the game. Maybe some professional side of things like actual rankings or I don't know.
Something to keep your palate wet.
Not just like, hey, quick multiplayer and that's it. No, like actually something to come back for.
But it's good. It was the first thing that I've played in a while that kind of reminded me of again OC5 and doing that warehouse stuff. I mean. If you're using locomotion on the analog stick, then you're running around, but like running around with 2 shotguns and stuff, and it really feels a lot freer than it has in the past.
I'm very curious. I'm very curious how the main crowd is going to react to the game because I did show Dead and Buried to a couple of people, and some of them got completely motion sick because it's walking locomotion.
Exactly.
And it's quite intense.
It is. It reminds me of Team Fortress 2 when it had VR support. It's very fast locomotion. So there you go.
So what about you then, Nathan? What did you play this week then?
I played a lot of stuff, but 2 things I can highlight is BOGO and also Rec Room. Let me start out with BOGO. This is like a petting simulator in VR. I think they showed it off at Oculus Connect 5 as like a demo. You couldn't play it back then. It was more like, hey, this is what it's capable of. And it's like an experience. It's not a game. It's something you can play in like 10 minutes. It kind of takes you by the hand. It's something that there's like an introduction to VR, I would say. I wish they put that one into First Steps as a cartridge in the end. Because I think it would have fitted in there
That was my first impression. Did you get all the unlocks though, Nathan? All the additional pillars that come up that you unlock with your hands and then building. I didn't get to go that far, but my initial impression was like yours. It was like, this is kind of demo-y, and I thought it was past it. But we retried it again today, and we started unlocking the bits, and the world around you is growing, and as you're feeding this creature, it's fucking cool.
So basically the story of BOGO is that BOGO is an alien creature from that one Oculus game that never really caught up with the hype. What is it? Firelands. I think it's one of the creatures from Firelands. I don't know many people that played Firelands.
I never played that game.
No, it wasn't like they were hoping for more reaction back then, but it didn't really. Well, anyways, BOGO is like one of those alien creatures from Firelands, and the story is basically. It's like a stormy weather outside, and BOGO isn't very happy, and you gotta just play around with this creature and make him happy again. So the weather becomes sunny, and things start to grow around you in this world, in this wasteland. So that's what it's all about. I'm not going to spoil more because it's a free experience that, as far as I know, you can only try on the Quest. I don't think it will be coming to the Rift, but hey, with Star Wars Vader Immortal, it also suddenly changes, so who knows. But yes, it's free, and it's pretty cool. I think it could be one of those introductions to VR. It shows the power of like interaction in virtual reality. Rec Room, very like interesting actually. It's like, it blows my mind, first of all, that this runs. I can tell you that Rec Room and also VR Chat and some others are the most intense games to run on the Quest. You can definitely notice that the Quest needs to work on its hardest to make the magic happen. I'm not gonna lie, it becomes quite warm too after like 2 hours of playing, but it works, and I don't know, maybe they had to overclock the Quest to make this work. Could that be? I don't know, but everything from like paintball to dodgeball to the rec center to the dorm room, even community worlds, they all work. They did not add everything yet. It's an early version, so no battle royale, no quests. That would be funny, right? Quests on a Quest. Hey,
there's no quests. Are you serious? There's no quests on the Quest.
But in terms of the community, you're playing with PSVR and PC players?
Yes. Okay. Rec Room is a cross-platform game, so you can play with people on a pancake monitor, with PC VR players, with PlayStation VR peeps too. So yeah, I played with several people yesterday, and I invited someone from the PlayStation VR, and it's crazy. It's like the future of VR, where I play with someone that is on PlayStation VR, and it's like these are the early days of the Quest, and it feels already very nostalgic to me. I don't know why, but
and they could hear you okay, and the communication between the headsets was fine.
Yeah, they were like asking me, are you on the Quest? And they were like, oh, but does it need a PC? I said, like, no, you can just put it into your backpack and you can take it with you wherever you want. They were like, whoa, epic.
That's such an amazing feature. People are always like amazed by that. So, but what else do I need for this? I said, no, you don't need anything else. Yeah, but how much do the controllers cost? No, the controllers are included in the price package.
Exactly.
Like, people can't comprehend it.
So, so far so good. It works fine. I did notice some frame drops from time to time, and also when people join in, your internet sometimes needs to catch up, so you see people warping. But I trust against gravity. I think they can pull it off. I think they can optimize it for sure. For an early version, this is very, very impressive.
And it's free.
It is free. Yeah,
which is still incredible, right?
True. Yeah, it's like the only thing that isn't free nowadays are these super high level items that you could or unlock by playing, of course, or just buy them. But yeah, it's free to play. It's completely free to play.
Awesome. So maybe you could read out what some of the people in the chat played. I'll just do a quick update from last week, because previously on an episode of the show, we talked about Face Your Fears 2. And we said that it might be procedural, or there might be like a pool of different experiences that you could try out, but that's not actually the case. We actually found out this week that there's only 2 stories in Face Your Fears 2. And the confusion lied because Rowdy played one, I played one, and they were both very different. So we thought, well, maybe there's more. and there was only 2 doors at the beginning. One was a tutorial, I thought, and one was the main quest. But there is actually just 2 stories. So just to clarify that, if you're interested in that game. And then also, once you've completed both of those stories, you can then go back and relive the fears to show friends and family. Like,
it's good to qualify that. Yeah, I was getting very excited at that. I was like, Jesus, did they really change up the game? Because Face Your Fears has always been kind of like a...
If it was procedural, that would be so next level. But of course, that's not the case. But
it'll happen.
Still, I would still say it's well worth checking out. It's an excellent game.
Yeah.
Excellent game.
Agree.
I asked the chat what would be the first thing that they'll boot up on the Quest, because I don't think a lot of people have been playing that much VR this week, just been watching videos and seeing what they would do on the Quest. So I saw that people were saying Beat Saber. Megan would play Beat Saber. First Contact, I saw popping up. Flipposide also mentions, I like Rec Room. I just wish there was an age filter that you could select.
Yeah.
There kind of is, right? Isn't there? There's the whole match me with players of a certain age.
Did they? I didn't know that.
It's not enough to keep the hobbits away from Rec Room.
That's the problem. Yeah.
I saw people also like What the UK and Charm was saying big screen. Big screen is another one. First Contact, that people want the original VR experience, like the first one.
Well, just to clarify that, because I tried First Contact this week and I actually played it side by side. And it's exactly the same experience, and it looks identical, plays identical. I think people are going to be super impressed with it. Of course, there is a slight graphical downgrade, but overall, it's still the First Contact we love.
That gets like compensated with a higher resolution headset.
But
which is funny, right?
But the thing that like has struck me so hard with the Quest and my 2 full-on days with it, I've done 60% of the available games on the Quest at this point on the store. I've done most of them.
60% in 2 days. That's crazy.
No, I have. It's been 8, 9 hours of solid back to back with about 7 to 10 minutes per title.
Your poor family.
But the thing is, I used to caution people on this podcast. I used to caution people that it's going to be like the Go, just upgraded. Honestly, on the spectrum, it is so much closer to being a portable Rift than I was expecting. It's really solid. And actually, the thing that Kaz and Cherry there in chat, and they were saying, they were upping the portability of the Quest. That's it. The fact that you can just walk anywhere with this thing and set up shop and just play away is so easy. And it's like, this is a powerhouse. And I really think that in this round of VR headsets, straight away, that's the winner. Like for me, it's the top headset right now. It beat Rift straight out of the box.
But this is the era of like handheld VR headsets. This is like the PlayStation Portable, the Nintendo Switch under the VR headsets.
Yeah, it is. It really feels like a Switch in terms of its portability. I'm really surprised that I got to play it back in PAX, but I'm
sure the next iteration of Rift will be a combination of Rift and Quest.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Makes sense.
So I played Drop Dead Dual Strike. I don't know if you guys have seen this one. The original Drop Dead came out on Rift not long after the touch controllers released, and I really enjoyed it back then, so I jumped in straight away as soon as I saw it on the Quest. It's an on-rails arcade zombie shooter, so think of House of the Dead, and you're not sort of far off. It's the same game as before on Rift, but now with the Dual Strike update, they've added dual wielding weapons and melee combat. So now you can dual wield a pair of axes, and you can slice and dice zombies with them, which is super fun.
Oh, I didn't get to the axes. Cool. Melee combat.
You can play it single player. The single player mode has 3 timelines, just like the original Rift game did. You basically play the same single player campaign 3 times over, but it gets more challenging, and then they unlock new weapons in each timeline. So it does spice up the gameplay a little bit. And then you can also play cooperatively with a friend. So that's really, really cool.
But the co-op, we played it on Go a very long time ago. This was like a wave-based on one spot shooter, right?
Yeah, so it's like a horde mode. I believe there's going to be the same on this one. Although the problem when we played it on the Go was that we couldn't communicate using the Go microphone together. Whereas I hope they fix that on Quest, because that'll be a real issue. If you can't communicate with your friends, then it kind of takes the joy out of playing cooperatively together.
But seriously though, the game has a super fun story, and also it's a good looking one. It really feels like you are playing an arcade game.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my favorite features of this game is the active reload. So if you've ever played a Gears of War game, you'll be familiar with this. And basically to reload, you drop the gun, very briefly down by your side, and then you get a little meter pop up, and there's a little sweet spot right in the middle. And if you pull the trigger right in the middle of that sweet spot, you get a very quick, like active reload.
Oh, that's new, right?
That was in the original game as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it might have just been a while since you played it to notice it, but so the active reload is still in this new game, and it's just so satisfying because when you get into the rhythm of reloading, because now you've got two guns to manage, so you've got to active reload both. So manage the 2 meters going at the same time when you're reloading. It adds another layer of sort of fun to the game and challenge. Like when I jumped back into it, I was having so much fun, throwing an axe and then it actually like lodging into a zombie's head and then them falling over, and then you can like, telekinesis it back, a bit like Thor's hammer.
Nice.
That was just so cool. So cool.
That reminds me a bit of like Bulletstorm or something. It's kind of,
Oh, Bulletstorm. Yeah, from Epic Games.
Oh god,
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah.
But I like honestly, like this Drop Dead game, I would definitely recommend it to people who like zombie shooters and arcade titles too. I don't think there are that many that move by itself and you really get the feeling you're in an arcade hall in VR. But
yeah.
I don't think the multiplayer isn't worth it. I feel like maybe we still gotta wait for like Killing Floor on Quest. I don't know, like it's possible people were first at like, yeah, but that's not gonna run and this is not gonna run, and you start to really believe in how far it can push certain titles.
Question about the multiplayer actually, is it because one of the things that kind of disappointed me when I first saw it was like playing box VR multiplayer. Although that's cool, you're just score racing, you don't see the other player. The person's there, you can talk to them, but you're score racing, you're not actually there. In this, are you able to see them? Like, let's say Arizona Sunshine, are they next to you?
Yeah.
Do you know?
You can see them and they are next to you, but like I said, on the Go version, we had problems communicating with each other. It wasn't utilizing the Go's microphone for some reason.
Right.
Whether they've changed that on the Quest, we don't know yet.
We should test it.
Yeah, but the thing is, with this game, if you've already bought it on Rift, then it is cross-buy compatible. So the devs have enabled that, which is great. And also the Dual Strike update with the dual wielding and the melee weapons will be coming as a free update to Rift as well. So if you're interested, you can check it out.
So we've got a question too from Megan. Is does anyone have an idea how long the battery lasts, and if the battery addition, like I guess she means the battery pack, if that also works on the Quest?
Okay, so in my testing so far, the Quest has lasted around 2 hours and 45 minutes on a full charge whilst playing games. So between 2 to 3 hours is what you should expect. You can buy a battery pack. I'm still testing one at the moment, a small one from Anker, and that can provide an additional 4.5 hours of gameplay, and it'll keep the Quest topped up at all times. Now, when looking for a battery pack, there's really one thing that's important to consider, and that's that it should be able to deliver 5 volts, 3 amps, ideally using USB-C as an output from the battery, because that will keep your Quest topped up 100%.
And you can, while it's charging, you can play, right?
Exactly, yeah. Whereas if you use a conventional battery pack with just a USB output, it will slow down the battery decrease on the Quest, but not stop it.
I had that problem while live, so I can. And actually, the 245 is bang on, Mike, because I was saying I was just about reaching 3 hours. Multiple times from 100% charge, just about 3 hours. Whereas on a Go, you get 2 hours out of it, which is good for most people. I think Rowdy mentioned that. Like you'll probably want to be taking a break. And the point you mentioned about the amperage is really important, because I was curious. I noticed that the difference between charging it off of a USB 2.0 to USB-C cable off my PC. It wasn't stopping the battery wall from dropping to zero. But if I was charging off of the mains, off the supplied cable, which is a 10-foot cable, it would hold its position, even if it was at 1%, which I tested.
Exactly.
But,
Yeah.
And also
we got a gaming science teacher asking on Twitch. He's saying 245. It's not that bad. Is it similar with watching movies? I don't think we've actually already tested it with movies.
So I haven't tested it with movies, but I'd imagine it'll be slightly more, just because it's not having to deal with the controller tracking.
You also have the
it
option.
depends on where you watch them, I guess, because if you watch them in big screen with like dynamic lighting and all of that kind of stuff, then
maybe.
Right, so like you can do, like for instance, there are eco modes. Both the base Quest device itself has an eco mode to draw in 50 hertz instead of 60 hertz. You have also things like virtual desktop, which allow you to operate in, again, a lower power mode that will eat less battery life and CPU time. So I think someone needs to run a test out there of try the eco mode and run it from 100% and see how far you get.
As I said before, it also depends on what you play, because some games eat up more power, because some games are like, pushing the quest to the limit, while others are, super well optimized. So that also weighs in. Plus, I want to say supercharging, but that's like Tesla stuff.
Don't plug it into
it. Charging, sorry, fast charging is a myth in this case.
Yeah, it doesn't charge fast.
The Quest doesn't support quick charge.
Can we just call it supercharging? Sounds cool.
No. So,
okay.
No. Just quickly, what are your favorite Quest games so far then?
I was super impressed with Ballista. The
Really?
introduction of Ballista, I've only played a little bit. I've only played about 15 minutes, but I really liked the characterization, the voiceovers, and all that. Like, the thing I'm saying is, there's a lot of games I really like, and there's games that just give kind of a really good first impression. And right now, all I can do is base off of the new games that are a first impression. Like, I liked BOGO, but if I was to call one, I liked Ballista. The thing I really didn't like was Beat Saber. Beat Saber sound out of the sound bars is probably the worst sounding game of all the Quest games I've tried so far, which is really a big letdown. Now, I'm running it at high volume, and that might be one of the reasons that we get so much distortion. But I was really surprised, even off of other games.
So you're not playing it with a pair of headphones?
No, I'm just playing it through the bars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you then, Nathan? Do you have a favorite so far?
I don't have a favorite, but one that surprised me a couple of days ago was Ultra Wings.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
It was very addicting to play, and I'm not really into flying sims, but it was a nice one for noobs to get started with. Like really playful.
Would you think it's a bit intense for newcomers, maybe?
No, I don't think so, because they have 3 comfort modes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In where there's this one where there are no windows anymore, and it's just the front that you see. So you can step it up. But no, that one was very surprising, actually.
It's zen. It's very zen. Like you
sit
in the cockpit and you're just like,
and it's not a super serious game, but it's just you feel free. It's like you're looking down, and I know it's a seated experience. I don't know why this is like the same story on PC VR. Like I played Thumper, and people are like, why are you playing this on the Quest? Like Quest is, it's completely standalone. Why are you seated? I'm like, seated is still like Thumper, for example. It's like next level stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta try it before you should judge. It's the same with Ultra Wings.
People were saying the same thing about me playing Drop Dead, though. Like, oh, you're stuck in one spot. Why aren't you moving around? It's like, I could move around if I wanted to, like a lunatic. I don't, because I want to stay in camera.
Yes, I was trying to explain the same. Yeah.
What about you, though, Rowdy?
I got one, but I don't want to say it.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Is it Gorn?
It's Dance Central. Of course it's not.
Okay. Okay. I think my favorite so far is definitely Face Your Fears too, but I just think it's stand out, with its graphics and the story and the jump scares. Everything combined just makes that a real standout experience for me.
I think the one that is the most impressive for a newcomer is still like like Super Hot. If you're a VR newcomer, there's no other game out there you should try. You should jump straight into that for sure. So let's jump into some quick news then. And first up is Moss, because Polyarch, the developers behind Moss, have announced that obviously Moss is coming to Quest. It's another incredible launch title, definitely worth checking out if you've not played it already. I think that's the problem with all these people that are jumping on the Quest. They just have a vast library of content to check out next week, and it's just going to be difficult to choose which games to buy. That's a great thing.
What an amazing problem to have, right?
It's a fantastic launch. They've engineered this incredibly well.
Yeah. But Moss, if you're not familiar with the game, it has one of the most adorable characters in any VR game, followed very closely by Astrobot, because he's a really cute character as well. But in Moss, you play a guardian that can control Quill, which is this adorable little tiny mouse, and you've got to help her on this huge adventure. And it's a fantastic VR platforming game, well worth checking out. The way that she moves as a character is beautifully animated, and she actually communicates using sign language, which is such a neat little touch. But the bonus is that not only is Moss going to be a launch title on Quest, but that Polyarch have added more content to the game, and Quest will be getting that content first. Now, the new content is called Twilight Garden, and this update adds portals to the single-player story, which will now take you to new unexplored areas where you can take on new puzzles, new enemies, new challenges. And if you complete these new levels, you'll be rewarded with new weapons, which we've never seen in Moss before. So Quill will have a few different options to use in combat, which is going to be really interesting. So that's the little update from Polyarc this week. But I'm really looking forward to playing Moss again on Quest because I love that game on Quest. What do you guys think?
The detail, like the lenses, the sweet spot, and just generally most of the games, like Nathan mentioned, I want to say Pilot Wings. What's the proper name of the game?
Ultra Wings.
Ultra Wings, thank you. You can tell I'm an oldie. But yeah, the kind of lack of apparent screen door effect is really nice. And being able to see like distances and things, I think in Moss is going to be particularly, it's going to look particularly gorgeous. You know, it's another one of those places with like lush environments. So replaying it just for that purpose might be one of the things in my to-do list.
It's great. It's great to see them serving two player bases here. Like the people that are going to buy the Quest as their first VR headset are going to have a fun time in Moss anyway. But the extra content is also made to get people that have already played Moss on other platforms back into, you know. So I think it's awesome to see them serving both.
Talking about the release games for the Quest, like I mean, I think we can all agree that the Quest is aimed at more like the console market, like the Xbox and PlayStation also have like their console markets. Whenever those like consoles came out, they always had like one killer game out of the game releases. Like I remember with Xbox was like, you know, when Halo also got released, so that was like a huge title, a huge release. Do you feel that one of those 50 titles or however there are can reach like, you know, that caliber that say like, oh, you know, this is the launch title for the Oculus Quest? Is there like, one like that?
Beat Saber, I think.
Beat Saber.
Yeah, I think Beat Saber.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Isn't it kind of concerning that outside of Beat Saber there is no other one that could,
but that makes sense,
because that's one genre in the end.
I don't know. I think
that was the same with a lot of the console release. They tried to like moderate all the other genres as well, but it's not like a killer game, you know, like Halo was for Xbox or like.
But I think that's the game that a lot of people have been really excited about, for sure.
Exactly. I think two games that would finish off this launch list, I don't think they're going to come anymore. Not right now, are Lucky Still and Edge of Nowhere on Quest.
You don't want to start any more rumors, Nathan?
I'm sorry.
More head straps?
Those no, thank you.
No. Okay.
Sorry.
But just to let you know, if you're interested in the new content in Moss, it's also going to be coming to PC and PSVR in June. So it's getting on Quest first, coming to other platforms later.
Are we still in quick news, by the way?
Loads of quick news this week.
Oh my God. So much.
Next bit is about Project Northstar. If you're not familiar with this, Project Northstar is an augmented reality headset. We talked about it a long time ago. The project started about a year ago, and it's an open source headset. So if you think about like Magic Leap or HoloLens, it's like a cheaper open source version of that. And with the Project Northstar, basically it was founded by Leap Motion because they made the hand tracking and finger tracking sensor that you could mount on a Rift, and you could do some special stuff with that. But they spearheaded this new augmented reality headset by making it completely free and open source for anyone to build themselves and use their SDK. So you could basically 3D print the headset parts, source the displays, the driver boards and the lenses and everything else, and basically construct your own AR headset. Well, the problem was that was really difficult, and basically sourcing a lot of these components, you had to buy them in bulk from China, which no one could do. So especially these panels that were ideal, which were 120 hertz, which is like the sweet spot for AR. But there was a community member, a guy by the name of Noah Zirkin. He basically came in and was this like community member, and he's been sourcing all these components and selling them over time. And now he's built up a company where he's actually going to be selling a pre-made Project Northstar headset. So if you don't want to go through the hassle of building one yourself, you can just buy one pre-made and pre-calibrated, which is really, really cool. We've put a link to it in the description down below. Obviously, it's not like a consumer product right now. It's more for developers that want to try out AR apps. And obviously, we're going to touch on AR a little bit later on with Minecraft Earth. And this could be an ideal application for this headset. So we'll talk more about that later on. But I just wanted to sort of put it out there that if you're a developer out there interested in AR, then maybe it's worth looking into Project Northstar and what Noah is doing with this company, and you could buy one pre-made.
What's the price for that?
So I think it starts sort of, if you want to buy all the components apart from the Magic Leap and all the 3D printed parts, I think it's $399 US. When you actually look at what this thing is actually capable of and the field of view that it provides is actually a really reasonable price, especially when you consider HoloLens and Magic Leap are both like
ridiculous numbers,
multiple thousands.
Yeah.
So at $300-$400, it's a bargain.
So can you buy it without the leap motion?
Yes, you buy it without the leap motion and you add the leap motion to it.
Because I think secondhand leap motions aren't that expensive.
Yeah, and it also works with the brand new second generation leap motion as well. But yeah, I just thought it was worth mentioning because it's a really interesting product, and I'm sure that now it's being pre-made, a lot more developers will jump on board and start developing applications for it.
I kind of feel like AR at the moment, it keeps going this like duck and bobbing thing where like every so often you hear this little heartbeat of information about AR and everyone perks their ears up and gets excited, and then it just goes under like a submarine, waiting to strike.
I think it's super exciting until you see the price.
Yeah, well.
That's the thing with AR right now. And plus, we don't have any applications or killer apps for it, so.
It's not consumer stuff, so it makes sense.
No,
yeah.
Maybe Minecraft could be.
Not yet. But AR is one of those things that all of a sudden is going to pop up.
Yeah, it'll be everywhere.
All of a sudden it's going to come and it's going to be everywhere. I don't think there's going to be like a slow, like VR, you can see like, it's like slowly rising, you see more and more applications, but I think all of a sudden we're going to be like, where did all this come from?
It's everywhere. Like it's present everywhere. I mean, Snapchat is constantly trying new filters. You see it everywhere. They're just building a library to the point where they can finally use it for a massive public out there.
I'm sure that's what Apple are doing in the background. They're creating all these apps that are available on iPhone. Again, we'll touch on this more later on. But then eventually they're going to release an AR headset and say, all these work on this new headset.
Just part it over. That's all. Yeah.
So let's move on then, because we've got lots of quick news. Last week we were talking about Battle Wake, which was a pirate vessel combat game from Survios. Well, this week we have a new game announced by the studio, which is going to be The Walking Dead Onslaught. Now, it's officially backed by AMC, the makers of the show. So any fans of The Walking Dead here, by the way?
Until a certain season, maybe.
Until season whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Did you stick with it then, Zim?
Yeah, I've watched all of it.
Okay.
So I'm current anyway with it.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, like, I do think that Survios listens to a podcast because they wanted to get features in 2 separate episodes.
That's true. They delayed it, so they got 2 hits.
They did it just to get 2 times onto the podcast.
That's right.
But
it's
what we want, right? Like, I mean, the way they've described this game, it's so mouthwatering.
Well, yeah, this is what they describe it as. The Walking Dead Onslaught invites players to assume the roles of their favorite survivors from the TV series, struggling against the relentless Walker threat whilst confronting both the horrors of humanity of this apocalyptic world. With an exclusive original story, visceral real motion melee and range combat, player progression, and a full campaign mode, AMC and Survios deliver the most immersive The Walking Dead experience yet.
But it was so funny. Like, I'm a fan of Walking Dead. Everyone's going, Game of Thrones. So, like, I was there with my poster flattening itself out in the attic, going like, because I told you guys, I put that one up new, and then I've got a Walking Dead poster that was waiting there to go up, and then they dropped this news, and I'm like, I'm bloody Nostradamus. It was so funny. But I'm a huge Walking Dead fan, and the melee combat in VR is what I'm looking forward to. Now, how they, there's some games where there's some resistance, like you put an axe in, and then you have to kind of like work it out. I hope they have that. That's all I'll say.
Well, this is the thing. We don't know much about the game so far, other than the fact that it does have a single player and co-op modes. But there is one thing that they do mention in some of their press release, and that is a progressive dismemberment technology, which they've implemented in this game. So it does sound like, you're going to be able to dismember zombies. You're going to be able to gut them and, grab them and all this kind of stuff. I heard someone mention that you could grab them by the throat and push them away if they're like lunging towards you. So that sounds super interesting as well. So yeah, although we don't know much about it, I thought it was worth mentioning and teasing about it. It's going to be releasing in the fall. And yeah, hopefully we'll get some more information about this game over the next coming weeks.
This was more of a sneak peek, and I think at E3 they will show off some gameplay.
Right, and you're going to be going to E3, right, Nathan?
Yeah, so I might try it.
What do you guys think it is, like in general? Like,
honestly,
what kind of genre?
Honestly, based on the trailer, of course this is a sneak peek, it kind of looks like you're just inside with a couple of friends and then having to defend your compound, like you did with Undead Development, where you have to. That was
what I was going to say. Is it going to be something like Undead Development then?
I really hope it's not.
I also don't hope so, but it looks like you're not really moving away from where you are blocked.
Yeah.
No, I think there was there was definitely there was a quote about the game that talked about it in a way that made it sound explicitly that it was essentially equivalent to Left 4 Dead, like in its style. So if it is, and you've got melee combat in there, you can assume some things about the game. And it sounds exactly like what I'd want. Now, I would hope if they're going the Left 4 Dead route, that they also include, which was really important for online multiplayer mechanics, if a player is down and you don't help them up, you're screwed. Because that helped Left 4 Dead become this highly social experience where if I don't help Mike up, and I'm just like, feck you, Mike, I'm going to the safe room. By the time I even get halfway there, I get eaten.
Story of my life.
Sorry,
but
Mike.
No, you're right. It was like a teamwork game, right? And I really hope they push the teamwork element in this as well.
I want that.
Because that's what everyone's been wanting, right? Is a Left 4 Dead in VR. So they've got a perfect opportunity here.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited.
Especially if Valve don't pull out.
But they have this and Battlewake. Like, I mean, it's crazy. The cabinet of their games that they've developed. Survios is absolutely just gunning for it, like in such a cool way.
With the Valve Index, you can tickle zombies, and that way you let them die.
Look forward to that. So the next bit of quick news is about YouTube VR, because we found out this week that it's going to be a launch app on Quest, which is awesome because I think it was a little bit delayed when the Go came out. A while afterwards. Yeah. But for those not familiar with YouTube VR, it means that you'll be able to watch VR 180 and VR 360 along with traditional video content like this fine podcast on YouTube with ease on the Quest. It's awesome for Quest owners as they'll have access to this vast library of content straight out the bat, and it's great for content creators as well, like us and others out there that produce VR video content. And I know we don't do it very often, or personally we don't do it very often, although we've dabbled in it. I've dabbled in it before, creating a VR 180 video. I know that Nathy has dabbled in it as well. But now we've got a whole new audience out there of people that have Quests, maybe interested in this content. So this could be kind of interesting for YouTube and Oculus.
The cool feature is that you can also join with a friend in there. It has like this big screen kind of mode where you can just watch stuff together. I just wonder why YouTube isn't really promoting this app themselves that much. On Go, it had like a silent launch. Also with Quest, I'm kind of like, okay, YouTube, this is your moment, push it, because 180 and 360 is like, really, really awesome. Yeah. But I don't know, they could advertise it more, in my opinion. It's also on Steam, by the way. I think a lot of people don't even know you can also just use YouTube VR on PC.
I didn't understand. Like, I understood the in-browser component of YouTube VR. Like, you could go to YouTube, you could say, I've got a VR headset that I'm using, and you could get some kind of stereo imagery there. I didn't know about this discrete app until last week when I was talking to Remarcus, and he's like, hey, go check out this video that I did. And he'd done one which has kind of floating 3D elements. He's sitting in his room. You get to look around his studio/man cave, and the presence that you get interacting with a person who's broadcasting to you in that 180 or 360. Obviously, I've probably talked about the power of that in adult content, but when it comes to just saying a bit, saying the news or whatever, it's like you can to an extent size the person up. You get to feel like you're there. There's details in the scene that you don't normally pick up. So I'm honestly now looking into it from a broadcasting perspective. Can I 180 a live show? Because if I could do that, I'd love to, because it gives that additional element of immersion that you don't otherwise see.
I don't think it's possible live yet. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, Nathy, but I think there's problems with that.
Everything is possible, even that, but it's a challenge.
Yeah,
it's possible if you have a camera that is able to do that, but having gameplay and everything in 180, that's next level. It's gonna happen.
But the point is, are 180 cameras rated to run long? Right, because that's the problem that you get with streaming with a normal camera. If it wasn't rated, because you burn it out, the sensors on them.
My previous history with VR 180, I used the Lenovo Mirage, and that got overheated within 15 minutes. But that was a while ago now, and I know that the technology has progressed.
Exactly.
And since then, Nathy's been on a YouTube approved VR 180 course, right, in London?
Yes. You have some cameras that can last longer, but then still you gotta pay the price for that too.
Yeah.
All I just hope is that YouTube VR will be integrated into Oculus rooms on Go, and also when Oculus rooms comes to Quest, because I don't want to only watch Facebook videos. I just want to be able to get access to all the platforms and watch videos. Vimeo, I don't know, everywhere. Because that's something that I was annoyed by in the past.
There are some interesting stats in the chat though. From Deep Rifter, he's saying that at the moment there is nearly 1 million videos for VR on YouTube.
What?
Currently. Yeah.
How does he know that?
And the quality is so good. The quality is just. There are some good features though. I watched. If anyone is looking into the 180 thing, and you've got a Go, for instance, go download the YouTube VR app. Go check out the Elton John announcement of his last run. That's really cool. You seen it, Mike?
Amazing. Yeah, it's really incredible.
Yeah.
And also, YouTube has a playlist themselves too with curated 180s and 360s.
Yeah, and Curoscope did an amazing one with sharks underwater that's worth checking out as well.
I was wondering, if anyone has a list of these things. Does someone have a list of 20 amazing 180 and 360 videos? Because if you've got it, and chat, please help us out here. If you've got it, link it. I'm curious.
That'd be a good video.
Yeah.
Someone should make it. Putting it out there.
Nope.
But quickly, rounding up the quick news this week is HP Reverb, because we talked about it last week. We said that we were disappointed that we couldn't buy this headset. It didn't seem like it was available in Europe or the UK. It launched on the 5th of May in the US. You could buy it from the US website. Well, only the Pro edition, which was $650. But since then, great news. HP have opened up pages in the UK and in Europe on their official HP sites. And now you can sign up to get notified when they do go on sale. So we don't know exactly when that will be, but you can register your interest. They'll send you an email as soon as it goes on sale, and you can buy it. Like I said, it's $600 in the US, so it's likely going to be the same in British pounds, so £600. I'm not sure what the conversion is in euros. But obviously, the reason why this headset is interesting and it stands out from the crowd is that it has a high-resolution display of 2160 by 2160 per eye, making it one of the highest resolution consumer VR headsets on the market right now. Now, it's still a Windows mixed reality headset, which comes with its own issues. It doesn't have the same tracking capabilities as a Rift S now, with its 5 Insight cameras, because it just uses 2 front-facing inside-out tracking cameras. And also the controllers are mediocre at best and burn through batteries like nobody's business. A set of AA's will probably last you maybe 3 days, whereas, with Rift S and Quest, a single AA has almost lasted me 3 weeks, 4 weeks with heavy usage. So
but this headset has been mainly built for B2B businesses, not with consumers in mind, although they did open it for consumers to buy, but it wasn't their focus. So that's why this headset doesn't match up with what you are looking for if you want to play games.
But there is a certain type of gamer that will be particularly interested in this headset.
Of course.
People that play racing games and flight sim games. This is the headset they've been looking for. And I think from what we've seen on all the early hands-on experiences, this is going to be the headset that delivers the sharpest resolution and clarity in a headset.
And comfort-wise, it's really good. It's really good. It's comfort-wise one of the best ones I tried.
I'm really keen. Damn it, you're gonna make me want to buy this. Beckett, stop talking about it, Mike.
Well, I know you've been looking at Into the Odyssey, and I think maybe you should just skip past that one, go straight for the Reverb.
That's my plan.
Because if you're going to ditch the controllers anyway and just use like a HOTAS or a steering wheel setup, then you're going to get a great experience out of this headset. So I think a lot of people in the Europe and the UK are going to be very happy about this news now.
Just if you're able to empty your pockets that deep, then you should be
Not
fine.
everyone in the chat is convinced though, because we have Brian Bruce saying, having owned a Lenovo Windows mixed reality set, I can safely say I'll never buy another Windows mixed reality headset, regardless of the specs.
But Lenovo, like you're comparing Lenovo, like Lenovo wasn't like, I think it was one of the worst Windows MI headsets of the whole lineup.
But also, what kind of games was he playing with it? You know, was he playing traditional VR games? You know, or was he playing sim games? You know, I think
the Halo one on launch. You know,
No, I'm curious because reading into that remark, like it sounds like he's talking almost like software stack. Like I'm not a guy. I've not owned a Windows mixed reality headset for many reasons to date. But I'm wondering if I buy this headset and I go through setup, is there a software stack that differs, or am I just launching through Steam VR and there's compatibility then through Steam VR, Windows mixed reality compatible software?
So you run into Windows Mixed Reality Cliff House, which is their home environment. You can launch apps there.
Sim's face like changed.
But it's also on Steam, by the way, nowadays.
It's also compatible with Steam VR as well, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just be in your Steam VR home too if you want.
Good. Thank you for the answer.
But yeah, you know, I'd be intrigued if people in the chat are interested to use it for sim games, particularly because I don't think I'd recommend it for anything else, because it's, you know, although it's nice having this super high resolution, but is it really required for playing Rec Room or anything else? I don't know.
Someone in the chat just said, "Meet Clippy." You remember that?
Clippy, yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, with the little googly eyes. Yeah.
That would be hilarious if they would have put that in there in your Steam home, like all of a sudden, like
Hello.
that little paperclip thing.
Bill Gates is doing the tutorial voice for you.
But maybe this is the headset that, you know, people will use for productivity because of the high resolution. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, like just like in general, if you look at how the HP Reverb is getting advertised, you see all these like business people sitting behind their desks smiling with people trying it in their office. So like the whole approach they have with the HP Reverb is business. But again, it's nice that they open up for prosumers as well, because I don't think if you're a consumer looking for a headset right now, there are way more options out there. And
that's a pending test. Like I don't know if Disrupt or any of the other channels out there have done this. Where have they done more than an hour in like Microsoft Office? You know, like actually working for a day. Have any of you done it? Because I've been tempted to, but for corporate
Microsoft
policy, I've not
Office.
been able.
No.
Not
what
yet.
you mean, like using your desktop in VR for a day?
Yes.
Well,
so essentially doing.
I know that was like VR Gaming Evolved. Greg, he was one that like was almost only in VR using his desktop. But I feel like you need to dedicate yourself to that and
There
really
was
want to
recently
live
a
the VR life.
YouTuber on Twitter as well. I forgot who it was now. Who was using the Oculus Quest pass-through to view the keyboard, but then he would use.
That was Tyrell.
That was Tyrell, yeah. He was
it
editing.
Tyrell?
He was
Yeah,
editing in Premiere using the Rift S.
Yeah, that was
That
just
was
this week.
epic.
Yeah. Which is really cool. But
So
I think
need to ask
I think
him.
we're a long way away from that, though. Real like
I
productivity.
agree.
We're a long way, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move it on to releases then this week. Pass it over to Zim to find out what we should be playing. There's so much stuff, so
Juicy.
50 titles, Sim, go.
prepare your wallets is all I'm going to say.
I've got very few things for you this week. A short list. I've cut it way back. Actually, I will rattle off a few things, but I've baked us an Oreo, a PlayStation VR Oreo sandwich. Layers of PSVR and in the creamy center, all that lovely May 21st stuff. So, to start off, I like quizzing you guys at this point. This game's been on PC. It's coming to PSVR. In fact, it landed yesterday. So the big question is, who's the first one going to be able to name this game? And I will give you one clue. Fat, pokey beat sticks. Anyone?
Borderlands.
It's not Borderlands.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna run it as well, so you guys can
The
see.
thing like where like the pogo stick that they send us.
Not the pogo stick one.
Is it Trover?
Popstick.
Not Trover. It is Beats Fever, which actually was my favorite beat game before Beat Saber launched. So a lot of people will probably see this and go, "Feckin' clones!" But actually, it was in the sandwich year between Audio Shield and Beat Saber, and this came out. And there's a few different ways to play it. You have these kind of fat, somewhat questionable looking rods that you use to poke beats as they come at you. And this is launched, as I said, on PSVR. So it's got, they say, intuitive gameplay. I mean, you hit beats that are coming at you. But the point is that, and this is a bit different from the other things, there's basically a wall in front of you, a translucent wall. And as the beat arrives at the wall, you have to either jab it or slam it with this fat beat pokey stick.
You don't bop it?
You can bop it or drop it or whatever you want to do, Mike, but you got to be with the cool kids. And get these.
No.
So it's drum and dance. The thing I liked was the mix of music was quite a bit more changed up. Let's say Beat Saber's kind of single category. So if you're looking at vanilla Beat Saber, there's some people who are like, I don't like that category of music, and so before that ever came along, this had a kind of eclectic mix of 4 different tiers of music, 40 tracks, but it is fixed. There isn't an MP3 converter or whatever. There wasn't on PC before. PSVR, of course, you're not going to have that ability to kind of inject your own music. But I actually liked it a lot. I like the sampling of music. So if you are on PSVR and say that's your only headset and you missed out on everything else, you couldn't get enough of Beat Saber and similar rhythm games, this is actually a solid one, I can say. So really,
but if you had the choice between the two, Beat Saber is the obvious choice, right?
Yeah, but this is not like miles behind. It's not like it looks a bit funky, but when you're playing it, it's really good. It's really solid.
I still prefer the pop stick experience.
Oh my god!
I'm so glad I didn't touch that.
I think these poker sticks, whatever you call them, they're a bit too big. They look like something completely different.
Exactly, that's the
Rowdy,
problem.
please.
They belong in what's that game series that ripped off GTA?
Saints Row.
Saints Row.
Yeah,
no,
Brilliant.
Jason, no, don't start.
Just Google Jason Rubin Saints Row. Treat yourself.
Yeah, and then if you can't find it, just search for the color purple.
Oh God!
Filter on the color purple. You should be fine.
Okay, so drum roll, please. We're gonna hit the May 21st stuff. So, the Oculus Quest and Rift S are launching, along with a whole plethora of games. I will run down a number of names while this trailer on a couple of those is dropping. Obviously, loads of people are excited for this. My list is probably not comprehensive, but you go ahead and tell me if it is or isn't. So I'm going to go, and I'm starting with the stuff that's free. So things like VR Chat and BOGO we mentioned earlier, Big Screen Beta, Rec Room, Poker Stars, which I got to play a little bit earlier. Bit of a rough one, that one, actually. First Contact obviously came over, as we were talking about before, as one of those things from Oculus Studios. Epic Roller Coasters, which is a freemium model, so you get a track or two for free, a bunch of game modes, and then a whole bunch of DLC. Bait, we mentioned YouTube VR, a whole bunch of different Oculus apps as well that are in there. And in the next tier category, we've got for $10, and I think equivalently £4. Vader Immortal, I was not expecting in that spot, but I think it's meant to be quite a short game. It's only meant to be like a couple hours of gameplay. So if I'm not mistaken, Mike, it's episodic, right?
Episodic, exactly. And It's just an hour from what I've heard. So okay. I think you'll pay that for every subsequent episode.
Yeah, very good, very good. So a couple other things you've got in there. Nature Treks, I played that. It's a gorgeous looking game if you're looking for something just to kind of relax in. Guided Tai Chi, which is actually really good if you want to learn Tai Chi. If you don't want to learn Tai Chi, it's not the app for you. Apollo 11, the Quest Edition, which is very nice from that Irish studio, VR Education. Wander, which we've played on things like Go, very good. It's got good multiplayer as well, I'd say. National Geographic VR, which for me wouldn't launch when I played it on the press release, so I don't know what was up with that.
Wait! You gotta buy that one?
Yeah, apparently you gotta buy it. It's $10. So
okay.
Wow.
So what do you get when you buy it?
I don't know, but I couldn't load the game, so you tell me.
Is it like a subscription then? Like you get all the documentaries they make for free, or?
I don't know. It's kind of an.
That's a very mysterious one, actually.
The one that I actually really liked, and I've U-turned completely on, Ocean Rift, is also in this category.
Oh
for
man,
its
classic.
It's classic, and they've really done the graphics in the Quest very well. And I think the darks and blacks and things in that are really good on Quest. So I just wanted to call that one out as well. And in the $15 category, we got a few games. I mentioned the one a bit earlier, Ballista, which is a strategy game. Virtual reality. If anyone hasn't played that, that's a must play.
Yeah, that's good.
Ultra Wings, Nathan was mentioning a bit earlier. Space Pirate Trainer, which I gave a go to. Really do it justice. That's great. Fruit Ninja VR is decent as well. But for $15, again, you're going to have to be a big fan of it. We've got Angry Birds, Keep Talking Nobody Explodes, BR Karts, which is a lot better than I was expecting it to be if you like multiplayer racers. It's come a long way, actually, Mike. And
me and Nathan played it on Go, and it was a lot of fun.
only do it if you want to play multiplayer with BR Karts.
Yeah. The AI isn't really worth it. A few other titles. Okay, going up the tier. We're into $20 now. $20. So Virtual Desktop, which is good fun, good capability, is on that one. Dead and Buried 2, I'm looking forward to. Job Sim, I'd say it's true to Job Simulator on Rift. Thumper as well, quite a lot better than it was on Go. So if you are looking to play Thumper, it's doable now. Apex Construct, I did play that as well. That's actually really solid in the game. The bow has some issues with the controllers, I would just mention.
And the game has not been built from the ground up for walking locomotion, so you sometimes just get stuck in the levels you play, and it's kind of annoying. So teleportation is the best way to go at some parts.
Yeah. Tilt Brush, Racket Fury, I think Rowdy said, or was it Nathan? Who liked Racket Fury? Rowdy?
Yeah, that was Rowdy,
yeah. Definitely want to get a game of that. Rush is quite good as well. I played that. The visuals in that are fantastic on the Quest.
That's an intense one, by the way.
Yeah, it is a little intense.
I don't like that game.
Face Your Fears 2 and Shadow Point, both of which I know Mike will be nodding along to. Yes. And now that moves us up into the $25 category. So $25, what are you going to get? I Expect You to Die by Shell Games, a classic, and I think that is done very, very well. When it starts off and it runs the trailer, you're going to have a smiler on your face for the game.
The soundtrack is so good.
The soundtrack is really, really solid in that one.
The only thing I would say about that is that it's 5 missions, and you could blitz through them fairly quickly if you solve them quickly.
It's short in quality, yeah.
But like you say, it's very polished.
Yeah, I agree. And there are
you can go a little bit of the charm is of the game is like doing things wrong as well.
Oh yeah.
Like
if
you do everything right, then you miss like 75% of the game.
And Mike is just too smart for games like that.
Mike is very efficient when he plays his games. We know that. So a little bit more here. Super Hot at the $25 range. Several of us have played that, and that's quite good on Quest. Exorcist Legion VR. I've played that. That's the complete series. So you get, I think, all 5 modules of it. That's a lot more heart-stopping than I initially gave it credit for. So if you're looking for a fear factor, that's a good one. You've got Creed and Box VR. Of those two, I like Box VR better, but that's just my kind of bag. Robo Recall, the Unplugged edition. So I don't know what's different about that. I know I covered it a couple weeks ago. Beat Saber, of course. Sorry, we're into the $30 area now. So Beat Saber is actually a bit pricier than it used to be at $30. And they did mention they were hiking the price up. Fair enough.
And the reason why is because they came out of early access.
Yeah.
But it doesn't include the Monster Cat DLC, from what I understand.
Correct. Yeah, I don't believe it does.
It is quite pricey.
For what you're getting, yeah.
I think it's still a solid game. I totally recommend it still, but it seems strange that they've hiked up the price quite a bit just for the Quest release, and they're not having cross-buy. It seems like a bit of a
double stinger.
Dare I say it, cash grab type situation. Yeah.
Well, I mean, while they're at the top, they might as well. People will still.
It's gonna sell anyway, so yeah.
But then you got Journey of the Gods, Dance Central, Moss, and Sports Scramble. And having played around with Sports Scramble a little bit more now, not the tennis part, haven't done the bowling. That's really quite good fun. Very well developed title, I'd say. So I'm going to leave my opinion on that one open for the time being.
Wii Sports VR.
And then
I still like that one. I still enjoy it.
Off of this lovely list, at the top of the tier, Orbis for $40, as we said before.
Wow.
It's an MMO, so remember again, you're not paying a subscription. So MMO players will be like, okay, that's probably pretty fair, but to the rest of us, it might look a little bit steep. I did jump in. Works flawlessly just as it did on desktop, and actually I liked it a lot better on Quest than I did on PC. I think it's not having the cable.
I do feel like Arbus is one of the most downgraded games I've seen for Quest.
Interesting. Okay. I would
It's
have
still
said
it's still about for me it's about the gameplay, but seeing the the videos out there, I'm like, whoa, okay, they really had to tone it down a bit.
try Poker Stars and let me know what you think, because that comparing it to the Rift build is jaggy. It is.
Okay.
I heard you mention that. I was intrigued. So can you elaborate a little bit more on it?
They have toned down textures, scene elements. Things are jaggy all over the place. It just doesn't look like it's had enough time in the buff room to buff out what it needs for
Or a
Quest.
card game.
But the thing is, people are. Don't you even start with me, Rowdy. I will take your legs. But aside from that, I think it's it's going to still play. You're still going to be able to sit down and play and stuff. So that's not.
So that means we're having 49 titles on Quest then.
So,
Bye.
so you have a feck ton of options. I think, as Mike said before. I think the price tierings for most of those games is pretty fair. As I said, Beat Saber's. We said Beat Saber's on the high side now. But
We've had in the chat a question actually. Is there also a battle royale game in there? I mean, I know that Rec Room has a battle royale mode. I don't even know if that is available on Rec Room on the core.
No, I said it at the start that it's not.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Maybe Standout might come out. Who knows?
Maybe.
Stand out Onward. I think the first competitive shooter we're gonna see is maybe Onward.
But they were specifically asking for a battle royale mode.
But
and
battle
as far
royale,
as I know, Onward doesn't.
Battle royale on Quest, I thought is coming. It's just in the pipeline. They haven't pushed it yet.
I hope they can get that working, because my PC experience with that was intense to run, because there's so many players in there.
Interesting.
It's I don't know if the Quest can do that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe they have smaller rooms. Could be like VR Chat also has Quest only rooms nowadays.
Four player battle royale.
Yeah. Two people.
FReality, you're on an island. Go. Right. All right. So that's it for the cream of the Oreo. Let's move on to the end of the cookie. So this is another PSVR title and reminds me very much of Microsoft Golf, a title I used to love back in the day. So this is Everybody's Golf VR, launching on PSVR on the 22nd of May. There's a free demo available at the moment and has been out since the 8th of May. But you step onto the course like you never were before. You get to do all kinds of things like you'd expect. I think, there's just a special kind of zen to being on a virtual green like this. It's got teeing and pitching and putting and all the things that you could kind of expect to happen in a PSVR title. It does have DualShock and Move controller support. And the price, a little bit steep. $24.99, but if you're into your golf, then I think you'd probably swallow that no problem. I have two other quick announcements, unless anyone has any reactions to golfing.
No, real quick, in between, we have a tip from Game Science Teacher who said that Orbis is actually on sale right now for $30 for the Oculus Rift, and it will be cross-buy. So,
yeah.
Good tip. That's a good tip.
Yeah.
All right, two small pieces of news. Firstly, you might have expected me to be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, as previously we mentioned that was to launch on the 21st. Due to marketing reasons, they've decided to bump that a week to the 28th. No doubt to get away from the train wreck that is the May 21st Oculus everything landing.
It makes sense. For them.
So FNAF we'll talk about next week. A little bit of a teaser there. And then finally, a little bit of a content update for a game that many of us are a fan of, which is Firewall 0 Hour Operation Nightfall, which is landing. So you can expect Firewall players on PSVR will appreciate new maps, UI and environments, new contractors. Those are the characters you play with who have special perks, levels, trinkets, and face paints. I'm certainly looking to get some more trinkets on my gun. That's a little doohickey you attach to your gun, and it waggles about as you're shooting people to death.
And what do you then say? Thank you, Uncle Frank, for giving us another update.
Thank you, Uncle Frank. Yes.
Also, where the heck is Borderlands, Zim? I thought it was going to launch this month, because based on the disclaimer that was in the PlayStation VR trailer, this would be the month for it to actually launch.
Maybe they're delaying it because of all the craziness that's going on the 21st as well.
I don't know, but all I can say on the back of all of that is this has been the heaviest release news week that we've had. I am done lifting weights on this side, and Mike, back to you.
So just quickly ask you guys before we move on, what's the Quest title that you're most hyped about coming out next week? Go on, Zim.
Oh no, you got to give me a little bit of time. I gotta check this.
Go on then, Nathan. Go on.
I would say Star Wars.
Yeah, same. Star Wars here. What about you, Rowdy?
Yeah, Star Wars. I want to know what it is now.
You just don't care. You just
No, I do, of course, but I'm always because I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm scared of getting disappointed, or I'm scared of like just being pleased with whatever it is because it's Star Wars.
Okay.
I'm a little bit in between those things.
What about you, Mike? You're
Star Wars, yeah, Star Wars.
So it's 3 for Star Wars, and only based on my demo of it, I've got to say Dead and Buried 2. Like the first one I wasn't that smitten with, but this whole kind of play Quake in VR thing, I want to play Quake in VR.
So, like we just spoke about, Quest games, but what about Rift S? Like, what kind of launch titles does the Rift S has?
That's a good question. I didn't look it up at all.
It doesn't have any.
Asgard's
Isn't Asgard's Wrath coming out with the Rift S and Defector and Storm? Because those are like the 3 titles that are also like on the box.
No, they're not coming out with Rift S.
But that's weird because it's on the box.
Yeah, but they're beginning.
You're opening it up. You're like, whoa, I can play these games because they are on the box, and then you figure out that it's not actually.
Yeah,
but it should have some launch titles, right? I mean, of course you can play the back catalog, but still. You should spice it up a bit and make it, I don't know.
It's
maybe
because it makes perfect sense if you think of it this way. They want to launch the Quest.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
That is where the attention needs to go to. And if they would release Stormlands and Defector, then part of that budget and part of that attention is going away.
I totally understand, but why then launch it at the same time as the Quest? That's then very dumb to do.
Because they ran out of Rifts.
Who knows? But those titles will be coming in the summer. But let's move on to Minecraft because we had some big news from Microsoft this week as they celebrate their 10th anniversary of Minecraft and announced a brand new Minecraft game, which hasn't been out in years, and that is Minecraft Earth. Now, this is going to be a free augmented reality game available on iOS and Android mobile devices, allowing you to create, explore, and survive like never before. So, for example, you can let your imagination run wild and build something epic in Minecraft at home on the app, and then go out in the real world and then place it in a real world location, and it will stay there. So you could go to your local park, you could go to your local town, and then share what you've created at home to others that are walking around your real life environment, which I think is
There's going to be so many penises in my neighborhood very soon.
What?
Because of you, right?
Of course.
Yeah. You're like the digital vandalist, going out there.
I can't believe it. My brain was trying to work it. I was like, what did he say? Did he police it? And it's like penises. Oh my God, Rowdy, Jesus.
Yeah. But
it's Minecraft.
if you want to collaborate and build something together, maybe you've got a friend, Rowdy, that want to build something, an even bigger one. You can do it. You can do it together, out and about, which is kind of cool. But a bit like Pokemon Go, whilst you're on your travels, you can collect mobs, which are like in-game characters. You can gather resources, and you may also encounter enemy mobs as well, which you can fight, and that's kind of the survival element of it. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that this is coming out. I was kind of a bit disappointed that the big news wasn't that Minecraft was coming to Quest, because I think that's everyone in the VR space anyway was particularly
even on the Go, people were waiting for it.
Yeah.
Well, you're absolutely right, because for those that don't know, Minecraft actually released on the Gear VR, and it was available. You could buy it.
And it also launched on Oculus Home.
Yes, but it never officially came to Go, even though a lot of people out there bought the game, downloaded it, sideloaded it, and then played it on Go, which it worked amazingly well. But yeah, we still don't have it on Quest, which is a bit disappointed, because even John Carmack is a big advocate of Minecraft. So I'm really surprised.
But
hard for this.
I'm also surprised that it's still in this day the official Minecraft is just a let's say seated experience with a gamepad. Vivecraft is still the best example you could go for with Minecraft in VR.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know that the Go
or
was...
do you use like a Xbox controller too?
I didn't know the Go was side-loaded, actually. Mike, and I've been an admin on Minecraft server for about 7-8 years now, and we run Vivecraft servers and 1.14.1 servers, and that's news to me. I'd seen things like they'd done Doom and stuff like that, but I'd never seen Minecraft, so that's good. I'll have to look up that
Yeah,
later on.
there's guides out there on YouTube to show you how to officially buy the game, so you're not pirating it. We don't condone piracy. So you can buy the game and then download the APK, sideload it on your Go, and then experience it on Go, and it will run really well on the Go as well compared to a Samsung Galaxy S7, for example. So,
I did see Tariel sideload Minecraft to the Quest, but I don't think he got it to work in the end.
Well, no, because of course the 6DoF controllers aren't going to translate, so that's the problem. But really, I'm sure there probably is conversations going on behind the scenes between Oculus and Microsoft, but it's just one of those things that they just maybe haven't come to an agreement yet. But going back to this AR game, Minecraft Earth, I think it's kind of interesting. Is especially because of the popularity of Pokemon Go, it will be interesting to see how this is received, because I know there's a huge dedicated Minecraft community out there. Like, practically every younger sort of generation child within my sort of family is obsessed with Minecraft, so I'm sure they're going to go nuts for this. And they always play it on a mobile anyway, so it kind of makes sense.
Just don't let them play with
Even
Rowdy.
now, still, I'm surprised by that, because I thought it would be like, like the attention has like dropped off a little bit, and like Fortnite like jumped in.
Not at all.
It's because the possibilities are endless. You can build whatever you want to build that your imagination is capable of dreaming up.
It's like World of Warcraft, I'd say, Rowdy, because they keep coming out with new expansions. For instance, the most recent expansion, which was the biggest one that I've seen content update, you could go and explore underwater now, which just like in the same percentages of Earth, I don't know what Minecraft's procedural engine draws, but let's say 60% is water. Before, water was boring, there wasn't anything underneath. Now there's sunken pirate ships with treasure that then have maps that show you where to go. All that kind of stuff is out. So they've done a very good job of feeding their player base and giving people reasons to come back again. But I wanted to just say about this, about Minecraft Earth in general, Mike. I kind of feel like the most important pivot point for me in the entire thing about game design is, are blocks, there's a persistent nature to the world, right? So are they going to be, they talk about scalability. So you can like create an intricate structure and have it on your desk, or you can have a giant tower out there. I've found that, to take it back to the VR side, comparing between HTC's home offering and Oculus's home offering, the thing I liked the most was fixed scale in Oculus. So in other words, this couch is this size. You can put it down, but you can't like make it tiny and put it on a seat or whatever. I've preferred that lockdown method to the free range. I can make a banana whatever size I want it in HTC's home environment. So, but
in the end, like the stuff you're talking about in Steam VR Home are toys, because in the end, actual furniture stuff, you had to bake that in with like a 3D world, so you couldn't even do that in the first place.
Most objects are scalable, though.
So what you're saying is how that relates to this, in that you're hoping that it scales. Like there is a size for outside stuff and a size for inside stuff.
Yes, exactly.
No, scaling in between, right?
Yeah, just because otherwise the canvas gets skewed, quite substantially. And so I think if that's going to be a real letdown if it is just let the player decide, But otherwise, because the whole thing about Minecraft is, and this is what Notch Marcus Persson, the designer, originally meant was, a block is basically 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. That's it.
Right.
That's your cube. And the whole world is of a certain scale, and it's proportional in VR when you step into it. Because of that reason, if you start taking that cube down to the size of an apple, it changes the whole dynamic of the game,
So with that aside, are you excited about this? Because, you enjoyed Pokemon Go, you enjoy Minecraft, so this would be like the perfect game for you.
I love it. Especially the thing that gets me is the same thing that got me in DayZ. Persistence, multiplayer world where I can go and check out Rowdy's wonderful phallic creations.
Yeah, amazing.
I can't wait.
They were all true to scale.
And don't forget, you can climb it too.
Yeah,
great.
1 meter by 1 meter, you say? Yeah.
The thing with this game, though, and I am excited about it. Don't get me wrong, but what I don't like is that we're still seeing the world through your phone window. Oh, and I kind of touched on this earlier when I was talking about Project Northstar, this augmented reality headset that you can build yourself. And I just think these apps are great, fine. For kids that don't care, they just have a phone, look through the window, and they can see the creations they've made in the real world using augmented reality. But when you watch the trailer, they don't show the phone that much. They only show it at the beginning and they only show it at the end. The rest is her skateboarding around the world and these amazing creations popping up in the world around her as if she could see them with her own eyes. Well, that's just not the case.
But that's what you call marketing, because if they did it your way, it would be boring to even have this trailer on the internet in the first place.
Oh, that's interesting, because that's not the way I saw the trailer was that every time they show an entity and it's got that kind of transparent surround, was that's actually just a phone.
Yes, you're right. And it is, but you're right in as well, Nathan. It's clever marketing. But what I want to see, and I'm sure will happen one day, is where we just wear glasses, skate around our world, and we can actually see those real life.
Mike, you're far ahead of your time.
But
just lenses.
I'm an oracle.
Lenses.
There's like another really important part of the game design that we got to touch on, which is Minecraft survival versus creative. You have to collect your resources, and they said that's the same thing in this. So you will have to collect the pieces that you want to then build. And the beauty of that in a game world is that like what I've made took effort, and that's why a lot of Minecraft clones that don't include that aspect totally just didn't get the point. It's like it's because it took me effort that it is of value to me, and it's why other people might look at something I created and say, wow, Zim, that's really cool. You made that, and I can see it took time. And sometimes in Minecraft, you're teetering on the top of this like high precipice, trying to put some blocks down. You fall to your death in melting lava or whatever, and that's the whole thing. It's like building the Empire State Building. If you want to, take Rowdy's lovely analogy.
I hope that didn't work.
So, this is like soon you see Rowdy running over the highway, getting chased by creepers that aren't there, and Zim chilling in his house, having like a rave party with villagers, dealing illegal, diamonds or something. I don't know.
But I think just like Pokemon Go, I think this will encourage people to go outside as a family, explore their own environments, to collect these resources, to then be able to build these things, to then share with their friends. So I think just like Pokemon Go, it will have a positive effect on people getting out and about.
I think Minecraft is really, it celebrates creativity, and it also is a very educational, app.
So if you're interested, it is going to be free. You can sign up now for the beta of Minecraft Earth on their official website. And if you're involved in the beta, you'll get access to it this summer. When the game will be officially launching, not quite sure, maybe nearer the end of the year.
Well, I hope they don't miss summer, because that was a really important timing part of Pokemon Go's success.
For sure.
Because when it starts to get cold, UK people don't go outside.
That's true. Even when it's hot, UK people don't go outside.
Imagine like entering Rowdy's, town, and you suddenly see this giant thing popping up in the middle, and it's like the town square. That's where everyone meets.
He's got a mission now. He's got a mission. God, how have we got that?
I've never played Minecraft before, but maybe now I should.
Yeah. You've got him onto it now. Let's round up the show then. Finally talk about the Vive Pro I, because from this week, starting from the 15th of May, you can order the new headset from HTC. It's going to be shipping around the end of May, although you could only pre-order if you're in Europe or China. No word on a US release just yet. So it's kind of a bit disappointing, really. A bit of a strange move, but it is what it is. It's kind of strange for a change that Europeans get access to it early for a change.
Yay, we did it. We did it, finally.
But for those not aware, this is essentially the same headset as the Vive Pro. It's just got Tobii eye tracking modules added to it. So just to sort of reiterate the specs, it's got two 1440 by 1600 pixels per eye AMOLED displays, which run at 90 hertz with 110 degree field of view. Of course, it's compatible with Steam VR, just like the HTC Vive and Vive Pro. It's got a mechanical IPD adjustment and a Halo-style head strap with built-in audio. The only way to tell, actually, between a OG Vive Pro and a Vive Pro I, from the outside anyway, is the light blue rings around the two front-facing cameras. Visually, that's the only difference. Obviously, you'll notice if you turn it around, you'll see the tracking elements around the lenses. But a lot of you are probably asking, like, what are the benefits of eye tracking? Well, certainly from a business perspective and enterprise, which is really what this headset is marketed at, it's a lot easier to navigate UI if you're just looking at the UI and then clicking a button rather than moving a wand, especially for those that are new to VR. And I know that enterprise, VR is a relatively new thing. So to push this forward, it just makes everything much easier for people, which is good. Other great sort of benefits are dynamic foliated rendering. We've talked on this on the show before. It basically means that as it's tracking your eyes where you're looking on the display, that will be rendered at the highest possible clarity, and everything else around it will be rendered at a lower quality. So that's kind of like a performance saving benefit of using eye tracking technology.
I would definitely watch that episode back. I think we were also talking about what Facebook was doing in that same area. It's a super cool episode.
Yeah, and if you look on the Quest, if you look at our Quest footage from the last couple of weeks, you'll notice that they use fixed foliated rendering. So you'll notice in the video output, because it shows it in the video as well, that the center circle is very clear. The further you go out, the more pixelated it gets. But with obviously eye tracking technology and dynamic foliated rendering, that circle moves with your eye movement. So it's very clever.
But wait. Does this headset at this point in time already do foliated rendering?
I don't think so.
No, right?
No, it's just a general benefit.
Exactly. Because the way that I see it is, this headset is very interesting for people who are making advertising campaigns or something like that. Because they can track the eyes and they can see like, oh, this is what people are more drawn to. Yeah. And like psychological research, that will be very interesting to see like, people are more drawn to this. So from a consumer perspective, at this point in time,
it's the only one, right?
For companies,
you can buy purchasable on shelves.
I believe so. Yes, I believe so. Okay. But yeah, you're right. From a product marketing perspective, companies out there to do product market research, get a load of people in, use this headset, see which products stand out on a shelf more. It's great for them as well.
That's why you usually see these headsets getting used the most with like, a car standing in the middle and people walking around it, because you can track everything people see and think like,
I do find it strange then that they don't advertise it like that, because if you look at the trailer, you see Fallout 4 and like, games, and I'm like, but that's not.
Yeah. To be fair, we're showing the original Vive Pro trailer because there isn't a trailer for the Vive Pro Eye yet.
I know. But even that.
But yeah, like I do kind of agree. But again, it's more towards big end.
I do feel like compared to the Vive Pro, they have toned down that marketing strategy with the Pro Eye. The first time we heard about it was CES, and that's the right place to announce it, because that's for businesses. And again, their marketing comes out of China and sometimes doesn't well translate here. And you're like, whoa, okay, is this some kind of next level gaming device? It's just, they have let's say the marketing Rowdy was talking about where you show a Fallout. In this case, it didn't show a Fallout with, the Vive Pro Eye. Is something that in China would totally work.
Yeah, like for me, the thing that I think will be really interesting is for social applications in the future. I think a headset like this would be really interesting then, because once you've got eye tracking integrated with a social application and your eye movements are represented in real time on your avatar in a virtual world, that will make the sense of presence and the fact that you're talking to a human being way more compelling.
But a lot of that can actually already be done softwarematic. They can actually estimate fairly accurately where your eyes are going to be located in a certain scene or when you're talking or so.
Right.
I mean, because they do that really well. That it would add a lot to presence. I agree with that, but I don't see the need at this point in time to already have eye tracking for that.
Can I just inject a funny idea here? It just kind of dropped into my brain, but when we moved from handwritten letters to typography, you lost the personal element of like a handwritten note and knowing what someone's signature looked like. I wonder if through a lot of the AI and kind of interpolation that is being done now through these engines, RTX cards, all the different things that we're doing, including this eye tracking piece, where you've got the kind of guesswork engine going, it's going to kind of gloss over those eccentricities of someone's eye motion, potentially in their avatar that you're viewing in that social application. And I like your point, Mike, about it, and I think you're spot on that is probably one of the most interesting parts, because the face is so important, and it's something that I've said before. I think like AltSpace and other apps, they just don't do it right. Like you want to look at a person, not a robot, and I think a lot of what they do there from a design decision point, I think is misguided in my opinion. But this is where it's going to come back on track again. And the only final comment I'll make about it is, Mike, my eyes are up here, and that's it.
Oh, well, exactly. But you know, like Rowdy said, in Rec Room and other applications, they do a really good job of mimicking what they think your eyes would look like by your head gestures and your hand movements. But I think when you do replicate that one-to-one with your own eye tracking, that it will make a really compelling social experience. But again, this doesn't exist yet. This is all hypothetical and potentially in the future. Because, like I said, it's for business really right now. Because when you look at the prices,
do tell us the prices, please.
Okay. So right now, the price in the UK and the US for the normal OG Vive Pro full kit, that includes controllers, 2.0 base stations, all the cables, everything you need, headset, etc. That is 1,299 British pounds and 1,399 US dollars.
So you can get 4 to 4.5 quests for one Vive.
But again, you got to keep in mind this is for businesses.
I know.
Really.
It is interesting to see how like Vive is moving in the other direction, right? If you compare it to like what Oculus is doing.
Yeah, totally opposite.
It's no surprise. Like they recently, like this year, but also last year, they gave a couple of interviews talking about that they are moving into the enterprise section, and they booked a lot of success there. So they are not, let's say, competing with Oculus in any way anymore.
Yeah, in terms of like this Vive Pro Eye full kit. So in the UK, it's $1,499 US dollars. So you pay a £200 premium for the Tobii eye tracking modules. It's expected to cost $1,599 US dollars, although we don't know that for sure just yet. Also, if you're a business enterprise consumer and you're sort of buying this, they also suggest that you pay an additional £200 or additional $200 for the Vive Enterprise Advantage package, which gives you 2 years warranty and extended support, and is also required for commercial use.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
so you're gonna buy it for a business. You're gonna have
I think what the biggest thing that annoys me about this is that I really like the idea of eye tracking technology. I'd really like to play around with it. But the problem is, if you already bought a Vive Pro as a business or a consumer, you can't upgrade.
No.
Buy these modules separately and just install them yourself. You just can't do that. It's not possible. Yeah. And you can't buy the headset on its own either. You have to buy it as a full bundle.
There should be an exchange program.
You just open another market there. If someone sells this stuff and you can plug it into a Vive, into a Rift, or it would be super fun.
But if it's not native, you lose your warranty. So I think you're right, Mike. It doesn't make it's tough if you just written you just purchased 10 of these things. That's not a small piece of change to then have to convert 12 months later. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think you're right. Rowdy touched on it. All these big companies are now all going in different directions. You've got Oculus targeting the mainstream and making headsets really affordable and very accessible. And then you've got Valve going, we want to target the enthusiast market with a high-end headset and these really amazing hand controllers for hand presence in VR. And then you've got HTC saying, we're going to kind of go down the business and enterprise market and really sort of focus on the Asian market as well, and maybe so much in the Western market. So it's kind of like these Game of Thrones houses that are kind of going in different directions, but I'm sure at some point in the future they're all going to meet up and have a big epic fight. So
and don't forget about Nintendo now filling up the gap for kids to be able to play VR, and then we have Sony that is kind of getting into the ballpark of Quest, because we're kind of in the same area in terms of, let's say, content. I'm not saying like in terms of headset it's different, of course, but you kind of have the same playstyle going on there. So I'm very curious what's going to happen. As I said, this year
that the market appears to be big enough to support different markets, right?
Yeah, like I think within VR there's sub niches within this niche. There is a headset for everyone, but there isn't an all-encompassing headset to rule them all just right now.
And more importantly, it's apparently it's profitable. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it, right?
Which is great. There is something worth mentioning. Obviously, we still don't know about the Vive Cosmos much, which is a headset that HTC teased at CES, which hopefully we'll know more by the end of the year. If they release that this year, I think maybe they could sort of take some of that.
They gotta start doing that now, because no one really knows what it exactly is, and there's still a lot of confusion going on. If you don't bump up that marketing, then gonna be late.
Yeah. So that is our show this week. So let us know in the chat if you've got any questions for us. Could be about what we've been up to. It could be about what we've talked about in the show. It could be about anything. Just fire away. I'll reiterate the show times. So just a reminder, it's a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. Also check out the audio version, available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel or leave us a nice review on iTunes, because that does actually really help us out.
And slap a like on this live stream. Let us know you care.
Like that smash button.
Yeah,
we got a couple of questions. We got DJ Gaming TV asking if he can receive a free Oculus Quest. We got Stefan Anderson mentioning that Pimax is going open source, which is a big thing. I have picked up something off that, but I don't really know what part of it is going open source. I don't know if anyone of you has anything. Which part of it is going open source?
I think we should talk more about that in the next. Because I wanted to say something, but I'm not completely sure anymore what it was.
No. Yeah, we will talk about that in the future, I think, because I think it is an interesting direction that they're going. Pimax have always been a fairly interesting company, doing something, again, very differently from what everyone else is up to. Maybe we'll touch it on that in another episode.
Yeah. Standalone Pimax confirmed.
Can you imagine?
There's a question here that I think is really interesting from Mad Monk. How big is the VR community? How do we answer that?
All I know is that it's growing exponentially right now. Yeah. Particularly with the Quest. I've never seen this kind of hype around a VR product since the original Rift. There was a little bit of hype around the Go. We were all pretty excited about it as well. But the level of hype around Quest has just been insane, I think.
It has the potential to bring us close to mainstream VR.
Yeah.
What
big potential.
I got a question for you guys then, pivoting off of that. What do you think, as if you were a gamer, you'd been on flat life the whole time, never touched a VR headset, one of your friends convinces you to get the Quest, what's the title that's going to convince you to stay in VR? In other words, like, what's the title that's going to make you stick and be happy with this, even 3 months after launch?
So it's really difficult to say, and I think that's why it's important to have such a huge library, because they're all kind of relatively short games. But it's interesting because I've got a friend, he's known me for years and years. We're really good mates. He's really into gaming. He's predominantly been a console gamer his whole life, really into Nintendo Switch right now and the PS4. Never been into PC gaming, so has kind of always been disinterested in PC VR headsets. Came over, he tried the Quest. I said, which game do you want to play? And he chose Journey of the Gods because he's a big Zelda fan. And I just couldn't get him out of the headset.
Yeah.
And when, you say this is £400 all in, he was just like, dude, this is amazing. This is amazing. I could get lost in this world. And I'm like,
I don't know, like what Zim has asked is like a very hard question to answer, because we gotta wait. But we'll see what happens in the long run. As long as Oculus can keep the content up, and there's more than just 50 titles, and there are like quality ones that keep people inside VR, then yeah, it has a lot of potential to succeed. But if the platform runs dry after a couple of months, it hurts the Quest. Well, the multiplayer ones have the most potential in the end, because that's what you come back to. But still,
that was what I was gonna say. Like, I think the title that draws people in the most is the people that a title that they can share with friends that also have a Quest, and that doesn't have to be like that could be something like big screen. That could be just hanging around in a lobby and contractors. Like it could be any kind of thing that you enjoy the most, because you're basically not in playing a game anymore, but you're spending time with your friends. And I think that is a very powerful concept in virtual reality.
That is true, but I do still think it also needs some killer titles, because most of the games that have been announced so far are parts to Quest, and it does need some originals too.
You mean like something
exclusives
that's deep that can keep you playing for,
it could also be something existing,
something?
Where you're like, listen, No Man's Sky is also going to come to the Quest, or I don't know, things that catch the eye. Because right now there is a hype around Quest, but what is Oculus going to do when it kind of goes down a little bit? With all these announcements you do from time to time, like E3, Gamescom, all these events, you suddenly get the hype up again. You saw it with Sony; they know how to do it.
But
They're suddenly like, hey, listen, Ace Combat is coming to PlayStation VR. Suddenly everyone is talking about PlayStation VR again. So this is something you need to do in the long run.
But I think what Zim meant, there will always be titles like that. You always have those AAA feeling titles like Lone Echo or like Arizona Sunshine, like a really just good proper title. But in the end, when you finish that title, you're not going to go back in. But what are the kind of apps or experiences that can be developed in virtual reality that keep pulling people back? Like what, for example, Minecraft apparently is still doing up to today. It's not because the game is so fantastically great. The game is good, okay? But there's something else that keeps on drawing people back in.
True. But it's like, if you go back to 2016, was like the golden year for VR, for Oculus Rift in particular, because Oculus said every month we're bringing out a new game and we're investing into these developers to make it for us. If they do that with the Quest as well, maybe not every month, but every 2-3 months, that would be a good approach, because otherwise, again, if this platform runs dry in terms of stuff, then as someone who bought this Quest and spent all his money on that, because some people have saved up so much money for the year now to buy this Quest. Absolutely. So then you also expect as a consumer, as a customer of Oculus, to be awarded for that in, let's say, the upcoming 2-3 years. Yeah. And not just like, hey, this is it, done. And again, I think multiplayer games are the baseline of every headset's popularity. But in the end, what Sony, for example, does, every time there is a reason to talk about PlayStation VR again, every time there is a reason to say, I'm a customer of PlayStation VR and I'm proud of it. I think that should be the same with Quest in the end.
Yeah. Certainly, we've seen a lack of that content right now on Rift. Like you mentioned, where are the launch titles?
It's very concerning. If you go on to the Oculus store right now, every developer has been focusing so much on Quest that there is only like shovelware on the Oculus store, and that's a shame, because there are some consumers that are going to buy the Rift S, and when you open the store, it's going to not only filter on what's the most popular, but also, hey, what are the newest titles? And then you suddenly see all this, well, not everything is going to be garbage, but then you're like, what the heck's going on? So that's why I said, why are there no real, launch titles for Rift S?
So I think we're all saying the same thing. Thank you for answering the question. Didn't realize we would go into so much depth, but it was a good question to answer. And I like the model that you painted there, Nathie, of, you've got your release package, and then you've got your kind of, I'll call it your content payment plan. Your roadmap, your pipeline. And to answer my own question back, because I had to think about this one for a minute, I think like between Rec Room, which we've seen has a lot of heft in it to kind of connecting people socially, and even Orbis has a real chance as an MMO to give people something. You pay the ticket, and then you just play that constantly with a group of friends or people you don't even know. That's the value of an MMO, is if I can drop in and just make a friend, and trust me, in 5 minutes you can do that in Orbis, and that's the power of that game. Even if I don't like some of it, I think it's actually quite a big, powerful one, and I think they're not going to do too badly in the long run. A month or two from now, not necessarily out of the gates.
Yeah, no, I think Quest is going to do very well, and I think at E3 we're going to see Quest having a big presence there too, because that's the moment to really, show it off once again. It's the biggest gaming event of the freaking planet.
When is it again? What are the dates? Do we know?
It's like June 12th, I think, to 14. But with Rift S, I don't know. I'm kind of like, Oculus, come on, this is your PC VR headset. Give it some games, give it some more, spark, because I feel like it's the headset. That's it. You put these titles on the box, but then when you open it, the games are not on there, and that's weird.
That happens a lot.
It happens on consoles as well.
Yeah, but there's nothing new to play on Rift S. Not one of the three titles.
It's a fair point.
It is a good point. But what I would say is, if you are a Rift S pre-order person out there, then especially if you've never played any Oculus titles before, just go to the best sellers tab within Oculus. You'll get the best titles and they're the ones that you should play. Ignore new releases.
Because like the way that Oculus has announced themselves, they don't see it as like the new Rift or like this big upgrade. It's an upgrade that was a little bit overdue, to use Nate Mitchell's words. So yeah, but it's just to replace the Rift.
That is true, but it doesn't say you shouldn't do any marketing. If you look at the marketing with Quest, it's like, it's killer. Like they did killer commercials for the Quest. It's amazing. But with Rift S, I'm kind of missing that.
How do we turn this off?
You basically triggered our like resident VR marketing expert. But anyway, that's been the show.
That's after the podcast.
Okay, sure.
But what a time to be alive, though. All these games coming out for Quest. It's going to be an incredibly exciting week for many people out there. So if you have pre-ordered a Quest and it's arriving next week, we wish you a great time with the headset. We hope you have a lot of fun with it. We look forward to talking to you about it on next week's show and finding out what you're playing and your highlights of the week next week. Because I'm sure many of you out there will. Very looking forward to Vader Immortal on Tuesday. So we'll be giving you our hands-on impressions of that game too. So have a great week in VR. We'll be back next week, of course, at the usual times. So tune in then, and bye-bye for now.
See you in VR.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.